Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video and we're finally here, people, after what seems like 3 weeks because it has been 3 weeks since I've got to sit here and be happy after our Rangers game. It's been far too long. Now, I'll be honest with you, and every single person who's watching today's video, was it a great game? No. Was it a good game? No, but I'll take what I can get, and what I got was 3 points, a clean sheet, and 90 minutes in the bank for both Tom Lawrence and Roofe. I've had worse days supporting this football club, especially recently. My head's sore, but nowhere near as sore as another person wearing a Rangers shirt today, and we'll get to that in a few seconds, people. But aye, if you do enjoy the video anytime, you know what to do by now. We're trying to reach 70k, that is now the journey that's upon us. But I want to talk about this game because there is a lot of thoughts sort of percolating inside the grey noggin. The first one being is we got to see a couple changes to this squad. We saw the likes of Ridvan. Where's Ridvan's he that? You know what I mean? You're not playing in Europe, son, but here you are play in a league game, and we'll call it the strongest side that we've got available. That guy's getting treated like a backup X. People, you know what I mean? I'll talk to you just enough to see where you're at, but we prefer Barisic. But I thought he played pretty well in the game as well. You can see where he's struggling, but the guy never gets any game time. The guy never gets a run of consistency. So can you really blame him for not being the finished article on the park? Good to see the wee man going ahead and get his game. It's a shame he'll be sitting with every single one of us watching the European football on Thursday. But we got to see other people return to the starting 11. The likes of Big Sam Lammers got back in there. Danilo, who we've already unfortunately mentioned for maybe a negative in that aspect, but it certainly wasn't his fault. But we also saw the likes of the returning Ben Davies, who I have asked for on the channel against pretty much 99.9% of every single Rangers fan that screams at me and tells me I'm wrong. But all I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, is he's came back, and so has the clean sheet, and that is our only second clean sheet in our last 6 matches, and that includes a game versus Greenock Morton. It was good to see Mr. Ben Davies back. Now, did he nearly give away a penalty? Aye, but Chris Kane dived, so I'm not want to hear it, people, alright? Just let me be positive for a few seconds. And I was also absolutely delighted to see Tom Lawrence get his first start again. He's only played 31 minutes of football in the last year, and he's went ahead and played an entire 90 minutes and finished the game with the assist. And I know it's such a cheap cliche to use in football terms, but that is like a new signing, if you will, people, because his quality, we were robbed of that last season after just 9 games and playing really well, scoring goals, assisting. It got robbed for us last season. It was great to see him come away for that game and show what he's all about. And again, was it a spectacular overall game for him? No, people, but you're looking at the names we've just mentioned. You're looking at the likes of Kamar, Roofe and everything like that as well. They're not playing a lot of football. Even Sima, who came in to the game off after the forced substitution, which we will obviously speak about very shortly. These are boys that you can actually excuse a little bit and say, right, they're coming up to speed, they're finding their feet, you know what I mean? Because they've not played a lot of football. So I feel like that a lot of frustration that we've maybe got after that game, because again, was it a rampant response for getting our balls twanged after the old international break? No, it wasn't a rampant display and perfect and everything we wanted it to be. It wasn't a really throat down, fit to the ground performance for Rangers, but it probably wasn't ever going to be when you look at the players we were actually playing the day. And I feel like that should have been happening for the start of the season. Like, this performance with these players should have been happening versus Kelly, and built our ways up for them would be in a much better and sharper mood. But that's not the route we'd go down. We can't go back and change anything. All we can look at right now is there was players in there who's no played a lot of football, came in and added something different, and different is what we want and need at this football club if we are going to be successful. So I'm not going to go too high about beating one of the worst teams in the SPFL, but I'm also not going to go too low to say everyone's crap. And I understand now when you're bringing in these types of players that it will take time to get them all singing for the old same sheet. Because again, it wasn't perfect, but we went to a tough away day, if you will, a team that can make it very difficult, especially for the old firm sides, about breaking the door. And we scored 2 goals today. Actually, we scored 3 goals the day. 2 of them was given, because still, people, sorry, let's just break up right now. What am I looking at on the screen right now? What is that, people? Because I genuinely do not understand what I'm supposed to be seeing. What line is who? If that's VAR and that's what they're showing to rule off goals, is there another angle? Please let me know in the comments. If there's another angle and it shows that Sima is offside and everything like that, let me know in the comment section below, because all I can go for is what we as the fans were given as the reason it was given as offside. That there, troops, doesn't look offside to me. I can't see the differential in the lines, so let me know down in the description below, as I finally found a line that Robbie Fowler wouldn't like, people. So moving away from that, in an aspect, we did score 2, we actually scored 3 in the game, so there is stuff you can actually find and getting minutes in players who should be getting their minutes. And I want to kind of translate into the game recap, because we need to speak about what probably is the biggest incident in the game, and after a really poor first half, the only real talking point in the game, and it was after Sam Lammers plays a ball down to the channel for Tavernier. Tavernier does very well because the ball's a little bit under hit, but he just kind of shimmies, like he slows down and then he goes, slows down and he goes, and it creates a gap enough to whip the ball to the back post. And big Danilo, man, with an absolute phenomenal, brave header, putting his face where it hurts. Now, normally you'll get away with that, but it's just an absolute collision between the Autobots and the Decepticons, people. It's absolutely vicious. Both Gordon and him go down, but thankfully the ball's in the back of net. And I did find myself laughing, obviously, at the incident, but if you watch, I think it's Connor Goldstein runs right up and he kind of taps Danilo and he's like, "You've scored, mate, get up and celebrate." Must have thought he was having a bit of a Jerry Maguire moment, if you get that reference. But obviously when he didn't get up, players started to realise, and every single Rangers fan's heart sank at the exact same moment for the pandemonium of getting a goal and thinking he's maybe took a save run, but he'll get up in a minute to gone, oh no, this is our marquee signing, people, finally getting a start, his first start in a month, finally playing to his strengths by playing him centrally. And it's mad that, if you play to a marquee striker's strengths, people, what you get, the ball into the back of net. And what happens after that? He obviously gets injured, and it's absolutely brutal, people. We'll put the picture up on the screen. Full credit to that lad as well. I've seen a couple of people saying, oh, could he not played on? I think you can quite clearly see he was trying to play on. He was arguing with the doctors. He was trying his best to play on. But honestly, I've not seen a face like that since Ivan Drago was standing at the top, yet doing a monologue saying if he dies, he dies. That there is vicious. That there is a sore one, and that unfortunately is going to be an injury that takes him out for at least a couple of weeks. I don't know if it's a broken what was that, a compound fracture, I believe. That's what they suspect that he's getting the scans. I'll obviously update in the comment section, so if you scroll down, if there's been an official update for Rangers, I'll pin it in the description. But that's a Syrian, people. That is at least a 3-4 weeker. You're going to come back with a mask on, in my personal opinion, if he's able to come back over the next couple of months. But I wish none but the best to obviously Danilo and obviously Gordon as well, as he took an absolute sale, and he both players got withdrawn at the time. I think it's more of a concussion obviously for Gordon. He didn't look like he knew where he was, where I think there's something broken in the face of Danilo. And I hope everything goes well and we get to see the big man get finally back on the park, as he was given an opportunity to play in his best area, to his strengths. And just the way the cruelness that football can be. He finally gets his opportunity, he takes it, but in taking it, he ends up getting hurt. And speedy recovery to Danilo, and hopefully it's not as bad as obviously that picture certainly makes it look to be. And on a lighter note, by the way, that was a 992 scoring with a 2 assisted 992. I like those numbers together. Let's hope we see them again very, very soon. But that forced substitution actually brought Big Sima on, and that was a big call as well to bring the big laddie in there. And I'm just going to say it right off the bat, for me, that was the best I've seen of Sima in a Rangers shirt. Bringing it in, taking the knocks, taking the kicks that he was obviously always going to get, versus the likes of Johnstone. And I thought he was a lot more central. I did see a little tweak in the old formation where we had a lot more runners going forward. We seem to really release it at certain occasions. Not enough for a Rangers team, but it's a step in the right direction. I thought Big Simo was a very, very positive and the best that I've seen him in a Rangers shirt. Again, it is against the likes of St Johnstone, but you have to start somewhere. You can only ever beat what's in front of you, and that's a building block for that laddie. And I think the best thing you can say about them is he's by far his best performance in a Rangers shirt, but you can see there was moments and iffies he can really carry on and end up becoming something good, because in the 24th minute he just absolutely kills the St Johnstone defender. He's been on for like 1 minute, he slows the ball right down and then he just explodes by them, leaves them for dead. He should really get his head up here and pass it to either Sam Lammers, who's wide open, or Kemar Roofe, who's just a little bit open. But this is Rangers Football Club. We never do sweaty, easy goals, people. I don't know why we didn't any date. See the amount of grey hairs that wouldn't be here on the noggin if we actually did date people. But it's one of the moments, maybe it was a bit of a like blood rush into the head, but I want to see a bit more composure for someone who again is highly touted as that lad there. Is that there is the game, that there is the set, and that there is the match. If we just play unselfish football and realise the team scoring is better than any individual. But again, that's not just a SEMA problem, that seems to be a Rangers problem, and it has been for many, many years, as I know every single person who's watching today's video instantly thinks it's Sakala, Danilo, they're Arfield, there's ones every single week. Lammers versus Celtic, and that's the biggest frustration when you watch this, is we have so many opportunities, we just never put the team first in these type of aspects. But where you're probably thinking to yourself, right, you've had the goal, you've had the SEMA moment, it sounds like a frantic start to a game, and it's going to be the light of a match, it's going to go and explode and really become a fantastic game. But unfortunately it just never did that, because after that major opportunity to again really wrap up the game for SEMA, the game died. People, when I say it died, it looked like Bambi's mama 11 minutes in to the film. There was just nothing. It was slow, it was passive, and we really went to half time with that as the instance. I think we had a roofe header that went over the bar by about 17 yards, and that was it for the entire first half. It was slow, it was ponderous, and it's something we've seen too much of, unfortunately. But again, I kind of find myself almost arguing against my own self, because if that's the same boys, like the same team that played against Celtic, I'm fuming that they're letting down that. But there was moments where Raskin was trying to link up with Lawrence was trying to link up with SEMA, and the SEMA was trying to link over to the left hand side, and it just wasn't quite clicking because they've not played a lot of football with each other. But that's the way the start of the season is supposed to be. That's what pre-season's supposed to be for. That's what Kilmarnock and everything, building our way up. We're supposed to be further into the development, but we're finally doing something we should have been doing at the start of the season, in my personal opinion. So we go in to the second half, but what I can't excuse people is, honestly, the first 15 minutes of that second half was the St Johnstone show. And that's why there will be so many people disappointed in the comments despite winning this game of football. Can't sugarcoat it, can't talk round it. It was poor. And unfortunately for me, especially, Ben Davies was almost into a moment that really cost the team, as he's just coasting the game. Him and goals has been so good. He gets the ball, he tries to play it back to Jack Butland. The ball is under hit, and to be fair, if one of your players are doing it, we're giving a lot of credit. Chris Kane just gambles, getting away for Connor Golton, nipping in front, and he obviously swan dives like Tom Daly. VAR goes ahead and looks at it, and after a very lengthy look, I'm thinking, well, if they're looking at it that long, there must be a clear indication it's a penalty, but it's not given as a penalty. So in my opinion, people, see if VAR's looked at it for every single angle and there's no contact between Jack Butland, because if there's any contact, it's obviously a penalty. Then should Chris Kane not be booked for penalty or simulation, whatever, booked for diving or simulation, as they call it? Is that not the way it's supposed to be? But I don't know if I'm being silly here, but there's another VAR call after that as Tom Lawrence and Chris Kane sort of hustling and bustling in the middle. But again, I've said this many times, when we got one, I think we got one versus Morton with the exact same and everything like that. You start giving it for them, there's penalties every single week. I mean, Golton had one at Celtic and everything like that as well that he should have had. It's one of these things when two players are combining, if they're nowhere near the ball, if the ball comes in and then Chris Kane can't get to that, then yeah, give it as a penalty. And I thought the same with Balogun when I didn't think it was a penalty, and I'd say the same with Golton. But if you're nowhere near it and two players just fall over, you can't get a penalty, or that's every single time a cross comes in or a corner comes in, you're given a penalty. So VAR looks at that as well and gives no penalty, the right one, again, in my opinion. So that was two good starts for VAR. And we know what happens in the next couple of minutes. And it is really that moment there, people, because before we speak about the VAR incident, I want to give Ben Davies a wee bit of a shout, because everyone will be kicking lumps at him because of the pass back that Chris Kane died for, people. But Ben Davies actually does a fantastic defensive header. That's the first header I've seen him win for about a year in a Rangers top bit. It's actually a really good move for St Johnstone to play through us. Tavernier gets skint far too easily down the channel. The pass comes in, there's a couple of bodies on the line. I think Golton blocks a shot, and then the shot comes in. It looks like he's beating Butland, but Ben Davies with a brilliant header to get it away. And I'm thinking, what are we doing? This is 16, 17 minutes into the second half, and every single incident has been St Johnstone. And no disrespect to St Johnstone, they are guff going forward. They've only scored 2 goals in all season, and 2 of them came in the same game. But we finally start getting on the ball, and we start nipping away as Lundstrom, I believe, wins it. He plays it to Tavernier. Tavernier with a great ball in behind. Seema looks like he's caught his run, runs through. He actually sweats it to Kamal Roofe to score an easy goal. I'm away celebrating, loving life. The assistant's, the linesman's got his flag up, but that boy just got every decision wrong the entire game for both sides, by the way. So I'm not even worried about that. I'm thinking the boy looked onside when I was watching the game, so I'm just loving life. I'm happy we're actually sweated a goal, but aye, Rangers' challenge to finally just get an easy goal is never ever given, as VAR goes and looks at it, and after a lengthy call again, this is a decision, and there must surely be another angle. Because you can't, I just don't know what I'm seeing. I don't know, I'm not being bitter, I'm not being biased. I don't know what that is, people, at all. It looks like the lines are at the top of each other. Does that not mean they cancel each other out, or they're onside, or they're touch? I don't know. I didn't see a line at all, so there must be another angle. We just weren't shown that angle, because I refuse to believe they're ruling a goal out when it's that, because is that clear and obvious? Is that clear? Remember the clear and obvious thing with VAR? Is that clear and obvious? No, it isn't. So in my opinion, this goal should have stood. And you can shout at me and call me biased if you want, but that's for me, just my opinion. But that seemed to spark us back up and get us playing a wee bit of football as we started to dominate. We Raskin was starting to take wee beautiful touches in the middle. Lundstrom was starting to win. Anytime they tried to lump a ball, he seemed to just be nipping in and win it. Again, not great performance for Lunny, but I think his physicality was needed, especially when that game got uglier. But we Raskin's clever feet. We ended up making a substitution. On comes Rabbi Matondo. And I just love watching this guy play, because he really stands out in this Rangers team, not only because of what he's doing on the park, but he is the only guy we really go with paces. Instantly comes on for Lammers, and the difference, no disrespect for Lammers, I don't know what we're doing with Lammers. I didn't get it. We're trying to do a Jolinton for Newcastle, take a centre forward who can score, make him a midfielder, because he seems to be playing more as a right midfielder than anything else in this team. So he ends up coming off. We move Seema out to there, so there's still pace, and on comes Rabbi Matondo on the left, and just right away, man, his first touch, cut inside, nip away, plays a beautiful ball to Lawrence. Lawrence has a shot, and obviously we know what happens next. Later on, about 5-10 minutes later, it's a gorgeous run for wee Raskin, beating one or two, such good feet, plays it into Tom Lawrence, and Lawrence with his very first touch pass gets his head up. His intelligence, this is what I got frustrated when we weren't lacking this laddie, is he sees things that no lot of players actually see. It's no safe possession, it's no this. He knows for a fact Matondo's got this guy on toast, so does he take a touch and hesitate? No, he just believes in his teammate and hits a beautiful through ball down to the channel. Rabbi does spectacular, by the way. It's not exactly on a plate. Runs on it. It's hard to get when you're running that fast. Takes a beautiful touch, composes himself, and tucks it away as if he's a 10-15 goal striker every single year. Phenomenal finish for the big man, and it's great to see his redemption arc really continuing. What I loved about him is he didn't just do that. He got nailed with his very first touch. He got nailed, by the way, got a yellow card, so it was good to see him back up, no getting shy of that. He then, after scored, done a kind of shimmy move, people, where he turned the boy out and actually injured the guy that was trying to hit him. People, you know what I mean? He skinned the boy out of his Achilles, and he ran away from him, and that boy ended up getting substituted off, getting injured because he was just trying to keep up with Rabbi's feet. Great performance for him, especially was one of the bright sparks. And we could have made it a couple more goals late on with wee Raskin maybe being robbed of an assist to the end. Seema hit the outside of the post. There was chances as Johnstone obviously became desperate. We're not going to dive too much actually into them, but Rabbi's pace was a massive difference maker again in this Rangers side, and it's not just pace for the sake of it. There's real quality in front of goal, and if you look at his finishes and his goals that he scored, the two brilliant goals, the PSV one and this one, so long may that continue. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It finished 2-0. I got the perfect prediction, pretty much 2-0 with Danilo to score first. My second goal scorer was Kamal Roofe. I did technically get that right too, people, but I got robbed off on that one. But that's just my opinion, right? It certainly wasn't nice, it certainly wasn't great, but it's 3 points, we'll take it, and it's something to build on, especially if we're going to be playing all the new players. I'll take a couple ugly games with all the new players playing if we're building towards something. But then he tell me we're building towards something if none of the new players are playing and it's the same mob that's been here 5 years. That's my biggest differential in my personal opinion. And before we do wrap up, by the way, I did find it really, really funny that Roofe got the entire game. Michael Beals, what's the reaction for the crowd last game versus Celtic, booing him out the building for subbing Roofe? And he's went, nah, never again. We're no taking Roofe off even when the game's actually wrapped up. That genuinely made me laugh. But aye, moving on for there, ladies and gentlemen. I've been CJohn over 92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye.